All right, welcome back. This is episode 15 of the Duck of Doom. So first I wanted to go over a game that I've covered on my stream here before, Make America Glow Again. So this just got published last night on the iOS store, and it'll be coming soon on Android. It's kind of a missile command clone, and has features actual real tweets and quotes from Trump. So if you're aware of anything about Trump, he says, why can't we use nuclear weapons? So it kind of spoofs the whole missile command with the Trump quote, kind of a subsection of current media culture. So that's a little bit fun. Check that out. Otherwise, let's take a look at where we were at on our to-do list here. So we did complete ducks fly off the nearest edge of the string, but we realized we need ducks need to despawn, destroy after off the edge, right? Because then they kept kind of looping back and forth in this code here. So they go through their nav points, they increment how many they've been through each time, and when they reach greater than 3, then it will say, well, are you off to the left of the player or the right, and exit the screen. But then it will keep looping through here and go, well, are you less than 3? No, I'm not. And then are you on the left or the right of the player? Well, I'm on this side or that side. Let me go to the other side, right? So, what we could do, put a little bit of thought into this, is we could go ahead and increment this a little bit more. And I'm sorry, I should grab some water real quick because I apparently have a dry throat. I'll be right back. Okay, that should be better. Make sure my sound's still working. Yep. Okay, so I guess we'll do this else if current nav point equals 3. Good. And then finally, else destroy this game object. Alright, so I think that'll work. Let's go take a look. So we should get 5 ducks. Fly in, some of them are overlapping a little bit, that's fine. Then they should go off screen. They are not destroying, probably because I didn't increment this inside here. So let's try that again. All right, there's the ducks again, flying around. Okay, good. They all disappeared. All right, so that sort of represents what we would call a wave or a stage. Is it spawned a certain amount of ducks, they flew around on the screen, and we either killed them or we didn't, and then the remaining ones that we weren't able to get to flew off of the screen. So then we need to be able to track that those 5 ducks are actually gone, and then we can alert the player that the stage is over, any score summary that needs to occur, and then the next stage. And then I just noticed we did get an error, so let's go Need the console. Line 79. I think I see what's going on. So if it's equal to 3, and then I increment it before I go inside these if statements, then the current nav point, of which there can only be 4 of, is now to the 5th one. So I have placed this at the wrong. It needs to be done after that. Although now that's going to be wrong because it'll increment twice. So maybe it just needs to be here. Gets tricky. All right, let's see if that works without any errors. All right, all the ducks are gone and no errors. Good. Okay, so at this point would be the time we would notify the enemy manager that we're despawning the duck. So it also needs a concept of a stage. And what stage we're on. So to be fair, this could be a point where we have a completely different stage manager. And I guess we'll go ahead and do that because the managing of the enemies and managing of stages and display of the score and displaying like stage 1, stage 2, that's logic that does not need to be coupled with the management of enemies, right? So let's go in here and we'll call it. This is a small game, so honestly making too many folders is just getting crazy. But game management, I guess we'll call it. Stage manager. Oops. So this is the main game controller object, and it has the enemy manager on it already. So we'll go ahead and put the stage manager on there as well. Okay, so we'll need put it a public int for current stage, and then public text mesh pro. I think it's a text mesh pro text item, but what TMP? Yeah, that's it. I believe that's it. So stage title. So this is like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And then just remembered we had a UI play menu behavior that shows game over text. So that could be part of stage management, but we'll leave it there. That's fine. So let's go ahead and make the text for the stage. So again, here you could decide that you want all these UI elements to be under the play canvas, or you can make separate canvases for stage management versus the main gameplay and or menuing, right? It just depends when it starts getting overtly complex. If you had something like an RPG, you might go ahead and separate them out right now. With a game this light, I think this menu won't get too complex. So we're going to make a panel because in my limited experience in Unity 3D's UI system, when you nest things in panels, it makes it much easier to manage them, their positioning, their placement. So for the stage, we're going to want it to be the upper portion, and then call it like that. Okay, we'll call this the stage panel. We'll put one of those, so stage text. What stage is it? So in here, I wanted to show you, I got this font I like. It looks like kind of an 8-bit-ish kind of font. And if you've imported the Text Mesh Pro asset from the asset store, which is free, you'll have this font asset creator. So it accepts the main kind of font types. You can generate a font atlas because it kind of turns these into pre-rendered kind of things which work better for Unity, and that can allow you to put shaders and materials on them particularly. So I'm going to save this as a font asset. In my media folder, it's fine. And then so now, this should be in here, yep. And now this text looks, let me make it bigger. And we'll center it. Okay. So when we trigger this text, it won't say what stage is it. That's a sign that we haven't triggered the code correctly. It'll say stage 1, stage 2, etc. And we could actually use this to do things like 3, 2, 1, and then ducks start coming and stuff like that. Although there's the issue of strings are immutable, and each time you change the text of something, you're creating a new string, and it starts building them up. And if you do that too much in a game, especially like a game like this, it's going to end up triggering garbage collection eventually, which is something you want to avoid if you can. So it might make more sense to make a 3, a 2, and a 1 that are always there, and then just activate them and deactivate them over time so that you're not creating new strings over and over and over again as the person plays with more stages. So maybe we'll do that, but let's just worry about the stage right now. So for the game controller, we should be able to bring in this stage title. Okay. So when we start, we're going to say stage 1 and current stage equals 1. So let's see if we press play. There it is, stage 1. Come back here. Okay. There it is, stage 1. And then what we'll need is it's interesting, I meant to make that panel disappear, but I end up kind of liking it like that. So let's do this. Yeah, there you go. And so we can get a material on that. I'm not going to worry about it right now, but we could change the color. I don't know, I feel like some of these are... I gotta be a little worried about people with red-green color blindness. It's pretty common. Alright, fine. Good enough for now. Alright. So again, on TextMesh Pro, there's all sorts of fun stuff that you can tweak here. Could be, yeah. I haven't played with all these too much. Most of the time I just want text to be very readable, but we might play with that more. So, what were we doing? Yeah, we need public game object, stage panel. So the game controller now know about this panel. And then in here, when we determine like whatever the stage countdown is, or the amount of time that we want to display the message for stage 1, which let's say 1 second, right? When that time is expired, then we'll deactivate that, and then we'll trigger in the ducks. And so let's kind of plot out in pseudocode what we want to happen. Let's see, I'll make a method. Void start stage int number. So whatever stage number it's going to be. So in there we will set stage title text, set stage number, or increment it, and then we will display title text for 1 second. Then we will disable title text panel, which actually, because it'll probably be disabled to start with, we will, here we go, enable it. Okay, and then spawn ducks. So enemy manager, this is how it spawns ducks. So now this needs to be, instead of in the startup loop, this needs to be in a different method. So this is public void spawn ducks int number. So I previously had been using this, and now I'm going to allow myself to pass it through code. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know if either one of those is better or worse at the current moment. And according to C#, that should be capital. Trying to get better about following those rules. Okay, so now when we start up, no ducks will spawn. But when we go to the stage manager, we need to get an enemy manager component and be able to tell it to spawn however many ducks. And the reason it's okay to not use this anymore is because we will want to say, well, stage 1 has 3 ducks, and stage 2 has 4 ducks, and stage 3 has 5, and so forth, right? It's no longer a set number. So we're going to make a private enemy manager. So in this case, we happen to know, and that's why I like this pattern a little bit, that the enemy manager and the stage manager are on the same game object. So an inefficient way is if it could be on any game object in the entire scene, we would do this game object find, right? And it would search through the whole scene on every game object until it found it. And that's fairly inefficient, especially if you've got a lot of game objects. But in this paradigm, since we know through design that the manager objects are all going to be on the same game object, I can call a more efficient one and search only on the game object that it's currently attached to. So get component. There is no children, so this should work just fine. Energy manager. All right. And then so spawn ducks by calling enemy manager, just to be clear. Okay, so these two items, in fact, are these two items. So we can take these out of here, and we can change current stage equals, I guess we'll do 0, and I'll show you why. Because we're going to do current stage plus equals 1. So it'll always go up by 1 until we call some kind of reset method, right? Because we started a new game. And then this shouldn't be stage 1. It should come afterwards. What did I do? I thought I put that in my clipboard. All right, Control X. This should be stage, plus current stage to string. Yeah, object allocation, string concatenation. That's what I was telling you. As we build more strings, and strings are immutable, so this is going to create an object, but say you're in a 10-stage game, that's going to create 10 objects. In Unity, that's not a big deal. That is within the range of normalcy. So I guess let's put these comments where they go now, since we determined more specifically the order matters. So stage panel. Oops, I didn't want the whole line. I just wanted this text here. Set active true. And it would be cool. I doubt it has it. No, it doesn't. All right, let's just go through this bit first. And this has to be disabled for it to become enabled. So bam, and it should come up. Chicken, chicken, brown cow. No, it didn't. Right. Is that because nobody is calling this? That makes sense. And I just realized also, so start stage int 0, I guess. Yeah, I guess I don't need to do the number here if I'm just going to always increment whatever it was by 1. And then again, in the restart game method, it'll set that value back to 0. But we weren't ever calling this code, that's why that didn't work. I should say I, and not blame this on you guys and bring you into it. There it is, stage 1. Okay. And just because I think it'll, and so here's the next little challenge is, how do you wait for 1 second? Well, you could put something that says while time.time is less than, time.time plus 1 second, something like that. Just be in this little while loop. If you do that, your game will freeze up. So that's not good. And then furthermore, we want to do two things when that second has expired. We want to disable the title text panel and spawn ducks. So I'm going to say this is a good opportunity to make this thing a coroutine. So now, I've been recently reading some information that they used to tell you to use coroutines all the time, and now they're trying to tell you not to use coroutines as much because it allocates an object. Again, if I only do this 10 times in a game because you only make it to stage 10, I think that's a perfectly good use for this. So what we want to do here is enable display title text for 1 second. So here we want to go yield wait for new. I always have to look this up. Wait new seconds, something like that. All right, let's go look it up. Google time. Remember, make America glow again. All right. Unity coroutine yield wait 4 seconds. That's the one I wanted. Return new. Can't memorize everything, man. Alright, so then it should wait a second, and then this text here is code, and then we false. Okay, and then finally let's pause. Actually, so then this is where we would go 3, 2, 1, and we'll do that in a minute, but let's just get the duck spawning work. So we need enemy manager dot spawn ducks, and we'll do 3. Alright, crush fingers. Maybe that'll work. Alright, stage 1. Seemed a little quick. Oh, yeah, it's only 1 second, that's why. So, and there was 3 ducks. Okay. Check it out. We just made a stage. All right, so 1 second there. Set the panel inactive, and now we want to do a 3, 2, 1. So I would say let's have this and center. That doesn't look centered. Oh, I know why it's not. Because this needs to be like that. Okay, good. All right. So we'll call this 3 text, and then 2, 1. 2 text. Okay. 2, 1. So now our game stage manager needs to know about those 3 texts. I guess it needs to know about that one too, but it already does. So public TMP text, 1 text, 2 text, 3 text. All right. Compiling, here we go. So 3, 2, 1. So has public references to those. We should be able now to disable those. Disable stage text, enable this, disable, apply the whole thing. Now what we hope we can do is say 3 text, set, enable, is active. Nope, it returns true if it's active. All right, is this not? Everything's supposed to be a game object. And this, oh, that's the stage panel. You see this square, that implies that that's a game object. Why can't I set active? Because it's... So maybe what I need to do is say game object. 1 text, 2 text. That's probably the problem here. Yeah. True. And then just do it for 1 second each and we'll see what it feels like. So then 3 has to become active false, and then 2 text becomes set active true, then 2 becomes active false, and 1 text becomes set active true, and then finally we turn that off. And then we do have to have we need a game object for this now. Stage title object. Ooh, and we don't want to totally disable the title text panel at that point. Unless we make 2 different panels, it just gets clunky. You want to do 6 of these or half a dozen of the other. So instead what we do, set active, false, set active, true, and then we don't do this till the very end. Is there any chance I got all that right on the first try? Yeah. Oh boy, okay. So again, we need, now these are game objects instead of text mesh things. We gotta drag them back into 1 stage text. Alright, who knows if that's gonna work. Stage 1, 3, 2, 1. Bam, ducks. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we just programmed in the UI elements for the stage countdown. So I think that's a good stopping point. Next time what we'll do is have the enemy manager understand that the ducks are dying, and when it's done, it'll call the start of the next stage, right? Or at least tell this manager to do that. So thank you for joining me, and we will see you next time.